Hello spooky friends, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to talk about Chillingham Castle in Northumberland, England. The poet Longfellow once said of Chillingham Castle, "All houses in which men have lived and died are haunted houses. Through open doors the harmless phantoms on their errands glide, with feet that make no sound upon the floors." And such sound advice was given to Sir Humphrey Wakefield by a psychic prior to taking over this ancestral home of his wife. It is packed with troubled souls, far, far too many to be dealt with. On no account buy this castle. And this was prior to his purchase in 1982. This castle, a former monastery built on the border between Scotland and England, had been home to the Grey family for more than 800 years before its abandonment in 1932. In its day, Chillingham has been home to kings, played a significant role in the conflict between two nations, and hosted the deaths of thousands in its grounds. But by 1982, it was nothing but a ruin. With such a rich history, it's no wonder that Chillingham is considered one of the most haunted places in England. Sir Humphrey did ignore the advice and purchased Chillingham, and for over a decade worked to restore it back to its former glory. Now open for visitors, it's a wonderful tourist location, which draws guests in with its dark history, and further enhanced by the revelations found during its restoration that has revealed yet more of Chillingham's morbid past. So why is it so chilling, you might wonder? Let's go back to the beginning. Chillingham was occupied, well, at least the property was occupied, during prehistoric times. It was during World War II that accidentally an impromptu excavation of the castle grounds by a German prisoner of war uncovered flint and antler arrowheads and axes dating back to the Bronze Age. It's believed these tools were evidence of a prehistoric hunting camp. Or it may have been an early manifestation of war. Local tribes, by the Iron Age, had established a fort at Chillingham on nearby Ross Hill, which overlooks the castle's present grounds. Perhaps this was the original homestead of Kiefel that gives Chillingham its name. By the 1200s, conflict was rising between Scotland and England. Monks had built a house on the land below Ross Hill. The monastery was then converted into a fortified manor home with just one tower and a curtain wall. It was then that the monarchy placed this home in the hands of the Grey family in 1246. The Greys were descendant from the Croys, kin of William the Conqueror. They were tasked with holding the border surrounding Chillingham, turning the manor into a fortress complete with dungeons, a torture room, and battlements. In 1297, the First Scottish War of Independence broke out. That same year, the forces of William Wallace raided Chillingham, burning local women and children alive in a church. In 1298, King Edward I stayed at the castle, on his way to Scotland to battle with the Scottish army led by William Wallace. However, by 1298, Edward I, known as the Hammer of the Scots, made Chillingham his home base for the campaign against Scotland, an army led by William Wallace. Chillingham's dungeons were then filled with prisoners, Scottish women and children, as well as soldiers and spies. Legend says that King Edward personally appointed one man to take care of all of this, and his name was John Sage. Supposedly he was a soldier who had risen through the ranks to become a lieutenant in Edward's army. A leg injury had forced him to retire from battle, and he begged King Edward to find him a role. Edward appointed him torturer of Chillingham Castle. He was a sadist who hated Scots. Over his 3 years of war, he reportedly tortured 50 Scots per week. When the war ended, Sage burned his prisoners alive in the grounds of the castle, while their children watched from what is known as the Edward Room or the Killing Room. Sage later hacked these children to death and used their bodies as adornments throughout the rest of the castle. In all, 7,500 Scots perished by his hand, dying in the castle, and their bodies were dumped into the lake. John Sage met his end at Chillingham Castle. One evening, this wonderful man killed his lover, Elizabeth, strangling her during a sex game on the rack, Elizabeth Charlton, in Chillingham's torture chamber. Unfortunately for Sage, Elizabeth's father was very powerful. He was a leader of the Border Reviers, gangs who plagued the borderland, but were vital to the fight against the Scots. And in order to save face King Edward fed them John Sage. He was sentenced to hang but torn apart while still alive. It is said that Sage's ghost still remains at Chillingham Castle. Sadistic. Chillingham played a vital role in the battle between Scotland and England. It continued as a guardian of that wall for the next 200 years. But the Grey family split their loyalty during the War of the Roses. The Lord of Chillingham stood by the crown, and they continued their support of the Northern Uprising of 1537, known as the Pilgrimage of Grace. By the reign of Elizabeth, Chillingham's role had become more diplomatic. Its lord, Ralph Grey, became Elizabeth's chief minister and helped smooth the passage of Scotland's King James VI to the English throne by acting as a go-between, hosting the king himself during his journey to coronation. It was at this time that Chillingham became more of a country home with a refined look, yet its walls still held dark secrets. In the 19th century, renovators uncovered, hidden near a trapdoor to its underground vaults, the skeletons of a man and child. It was believed to be the forgotten victims of a reaver attack. Other renovations revealed 100 Tudor documents hidden in a walled-up fireplace. Documents were related to King James VI's succession. These were also related to another find in the renovation of the 1920s. During work in one of the bedrooms, the skeleton of a young boy was found, bricked into the wall. The bedroom was long thought to be haunted by that of the Blue Boy or the Radiant Boy. The child manifested itself with cries of fear or pain, followed by a bright, radiant blue light. It was a young boy dressed in blue clothes, and the body of the boy had documents relating to the Spanish invasion of 1588. Legend says that he was bricked up with the papers to ensure his silence. This body was found in the pink room with scraps of blue cloth, though it is not known exactly how this young boy died. His body being welled in is just one of the many secrets that are within Chillingham's walls. The growing peace in the borderlands between the 16th and 17th century continued to transform Chillingham into more of a country home. Added to it were landscaped gardens and a new east wing of the castle. By 1932, the Greys had left the castle, citing that it was too expensive. However, some think that the ghosts may have pushed them out. The cost of Chillingham was too high, that the ghosts were left on their own. Ghosts continued to manifest themselves in this gentler period. One notable spirit is that of Lady Mary Berkeley, the wife of Lord Grey, who in 1682 ran off with his wife's sister Henrietta. Scandal. Mary was left alone at Chillingham with a baby daughter. She died in the castle in 1710. Her ghost reportedly still haunts here, signaled by a rustle of silk and an eerie chill. American heiress Lenora Van Marter in 1895 certainly believed that the spirits were lingering. She was a keen believer in the spirit world and claimed to have many experiences at Chillingham. She captured their stories in a pamphlet that she circulated in 1925. It's not known exactly how many perished behind the walls of Chillingham, but it's very easy to say that many died horribly and that their continued presence is not a coincidence. With its horrific and bloodstained history, more than any other castle in England, and the mysterious finds of bodies in the walls and in trapdoors, along with a specific torture room in the basement and John Sage's contribution to its grounds, it's not hard to surmise that this place is truly haunted. Perhaps there really is something more to Chillingham's reputation of most haunted. A friend of mine, Alex Alchemist, has visited Chillingham Castle, and among being completely terrified, this man, who is more so steadfast than the rest of us when it comes to spirits, was physically attacked and had incredible experiences with his team when investigating Chillingham.
It's an absolutely unreal place. Everyone was like this, and you could see everybody gradually getting further and further into the courts. So it really is the kind of place that you have to spend a lot of time there to get to know the ghosts, to get to know the spirits, for them to get to know you, for them to want to come forward and speak to you. Of course, that's the nice ones. The not so nice ones will be quite happy to get a hold of you by your collar and rag you about the castle. Super haunted. Many reasons why they were haunted. One of the reasons was they used to hang prisoners on the trees and live and die there. And when I say about it, it's pitch black dark, guys. This is in the middle of Northumberland. Like, there's dark and there's dark.
It's easy to believe, especially with that seal of approval, that this place is truly so spooky. So what are your thoughts on Chillingham? Do you feel like this is something that is incredibly sad? Do do you have any experiences at Chillingham? I'd love to know your thoughts. Please put them in the comments down below. Please make sure also that you like and follow for more super spooky content. So spooky. Bye.